Now, when it comes to Drake, Kendrick Lamar, and Metro Boomin, which, yes, we got somebody new to talk about today, so be sure to leave a like and subscribe for that. Well, now, if you are ready to see how Drake just had the worst flop of his life, and at the same time, Metro Boomin just talked about his new project and tried to open up the rap world's eyes to something that he is saying is all due to Kendrick Lamar's influence. And within this influence, Metro has really just put into perspective why Drake's song has actually flopped, and it's all coming full circle right now. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe so we can see how Kendrick is winning, Karen is losing, and Metro is showing us that the shift that all of the losers are so scared of is real. And now with that said, well, right now, for the first time in hip-hop since the entire streaming era, we have seen something genuinely unreal and unprecedented, which is now for lame old engagement farming Gracie Abrams creepin' desperate lawbreak. Right now, the definitive courtside Karen of rap is truly shocked and baffled to the point where I am sure, although of course he will never admit it, and instead he'll just make some weird post about Gracie Abrams instead, he is at the point where he really may be contemplating retiring from rap music or finding a bigger way to Karen out on everyone. And now the reason why I say this is because after all of the noise, the free fall down the charts, the bad projections, and everything else surrounding the mess of a song Drake put out with Central Cee in Which One, well, somehow, despite all the chaos this song has caused, the record's actual chart performance has been released and put out as the Billboard Hot 100 was just updated. And well, with this, what we can now see is that after the projections were hovering around 6 and 7 at first and then went lower than that into the late teens, they didn't just end up there, but it got even worse and the song ended up all the way on number 23. And you know what, for Drake and all the Lawbreeze, this is symbolism, I guess, in a way, because for Drake now, after all of his beef with LeBron, Drake has become just like him and has went from 6 to 23 on the charts like he is him. But really now, with this bad of a flop from lame old Karen himself, well, this does show to us and reveal a lot of different things about where the music industry is going and what the general taste in hip-hop is shifting to in the moment, which over everything else is really displaying that why the Drake era is actually going to be over in full. And again, this isn't a matter of opinion anymore, but these are real statements and real ways that the culture has actually changed, and we are starting to see this just more and more. Ultimately, all comes down to the fact that when you really look into this record and even compare it to What Did I Miss, for example, let's just look at these songs. For us to be in an era where a track where Drake is trying to diss and rap a little more than he usually does for a lead song to end up charting in a kind of decent place, as well for Drake this is a flop, it did still go pretty high up. And then in comparison with Which One, for a song that for all intents and purposes is the modern version of something like a One Dance and is trying to pander to a global audience that will love this song because it sounds like the most casual thing you could ever hear. Well, again, when we see that Drake was pretty much grifting this way for a while, and in an era before Kendrick Lamar dropped like that, this probably would have worked with ease. This is part of the shift in hip-hop and what we have been talking about, and really now, despite how some people have tried to deny that things are changing, and then at the very least, that there has started to be a clear difference in the way that listeners are consuming and interacting with rap music. Well, listen, see this right here? This is major proof that this shift is real, because for Drake to make a record where he is pandering this desperately and to see it still fail the way it did. Well, listen now, while we are making fun of Drake because this is the biggest flop of his career in the streaming era, this isn't just exclusively a Drake problem, but what this is showing now is that for rappers pandering to these big audiences and trying to sound like pretty much the entire world, it's no longer going to work for them. And now as people are seeing the guy who got away with all the grifts and who everybody grifted because of just fail like this, well, seriously, if you don't think Drake falling out of the top 20 with a song like this is going to push away rappers from making these gimmicky pieces of trash, I don't know what you think will, because seriously, I'm sure now rappers are going to start moving back from making these pandering, clout-chasing anthems if they are smart. And now at the same time, when you look at what has been working for rappers and what has been actually lasting on the charts and leading to long-term success, well, if we look on any of the charts that really show what people are responding to, if we see that Kendrick Lamar has once again dethroned Drake with the most streamed rap song on the planet again in terms of daily streams with none other than All the Stars this time, Well, you'll first see that the Kendrick formula from older eras and new ones is still dominating and occupying the charts, and also as of course Luther is still within the top 13 of the charts. Again now, despite this track being almost a year old, it is sitting there comfortably with the likes of songs that Bruno Mars has made in terms of how long these things could really last as major pieces of music, and showing how dominant of a hit song they have really been. And now with this understood now, where all of this comes full circle and where you start to see the full-scale effects of rap changing in this era like we have not seen in a long time. Well, now cue in the guy who we are going to be talking about for the first time in a while and who started this entire era off with his album We Don't Trust You in none other than Metro Boomin. And now why Metro Boomin is so important to all of this is because now after he released his mixtape, A Futuristic Summer, well now this thing did get some pretty lackluster reception compared to other Metro albums, which have been these commercial blockbuster records that are almost released like full-scale films. Well listen, while people can clown this record, and I understand it, listen, as an East and West Coast guy, this record is really not for me and I don't connect with the music like that. Still, Metro wasn't trying to make it like his last few records, and the record clearly has a very different tone overall. And now, while a lot of people have ended up giving Metro backlash for this, in response, what Metro has ended up doing was hopping on social media and responding to all of the criticism, but not in a way where he is really crashing out or telling people that if they don't get it, it's their fault. But he's really just trying to give more insight into about how he is feeling with this record, the direction he is taking, and who he made this thing for, which I think is very important to understand. And now, while there are a lot of comments about the record specifically, what really stood out here and what is really showing us a lot of what is happening in rap behind the scenes and with listeners without even knowing it, is now that within Metro's responses as he was explaining how the genre is shifting after the last time he shifted the genre and where he wants things to go and where a lot of other rappers are following in his footsteps and other giants as well. All comes down to the idea of regionalism coming back in hip-hop. And now what I mean by this is now after a post that was praising Metro's mixtape and Kendrick Lamar's GNX for being these really strong pieces that reflect a certain area of music that again, and this is where I'm saying things come full circle with both GNX and Metro's project. They were not pandering to these global audiences or trying to fit in with everything on the charts, but instead they were unapologetically trying to represent the lineage and home place that these two megastars were from, and their musical DNA is rooted in it. Now specifically what Metro Boomin said about this, about both his record and Kendrick's project. It's time for music to get back regional. Social media got everybody trying to do the same thing. Let's get back to actual culture and regional identity. And when you see the post he is responding to and the sentiments that he is echoing, you understand the statement and point Metro is making. And now really with this, when you just see this call from Metro about how he wants hip-hop to be regional again and how this is for a certain audience, and then he also is crediting Kendrick Lamar and GNX, well, ultimately what you're seeing is this shift materialize more and more, and again, not just in corners of the hip-hop, but with the biggest musical architect in terms of who was making the beats for all of the biggest rap hits of the last decade. And now again, when you look at this in the big picture, when you see an album like GNX, which had so many hits that were unapologetically representing a certain thing, and then you see how Recycle Man just turned from 6 to 23 like he's LeBron. Well, really now, one of the reasons it seems like people are flocking to one thing while running away from another at a record pace is because now that we have seen this display of what rap music can be on the highest level and how authentic it can still remain in terms of Kendrick's run, well, it really just seems like people don't have the need that they once did for the catalog of somebody like Drake. But really now to get back to Metro Boomin and with his new project, A Futuristic Summer, while the record is not doing the best in terms of its commercial performance, and with that it will definitely be a big step down compared to everything Metro has done leading up to this, still, as Metro said, this was kind of always the goal, as he wanted to create something that was for a very specific group of people, and I do think, well, in terms of Metro making a project, that this is inherently inaccessible to larger audiences because of this, it still is not the status quo. As compared to something like Kendrick Lamar's GNX, that record is really setting the bar of where rappers are following in, which we will look and understand a lot more very soon. And so still now, what I will say, and it clearly feels like Metro Boomin is expressing with this in his sentiments, is that he is now, for the first time since blowing up as one of the biggest producers ever in hip-hop, able to create something that is within a certain particular sound that is just regional for him. And again, when you think about it from his perspective, after having every single rapper beg you to make the same type of beats to try and have the same level of success for so long, to really now get this level of authorship back where you can even make something like this, it definitely means something for him. And again, while this project is not for me, I'm not going to sit here and act like I really even liked it. The sentiment of this and the possibilities it is opening up are endless, because again, for every record from Metro that you may not like, you're going to get something from GNX, which in terms of its impact has been greater than almost any other rap record we have seen in years. And really, just to get this level of authorship back over work definitely really does hold a lot of weight. And truly now, with this entire moment, we are seeing from Metro's comments to Kendrick Lamar's impact and its long-standingness at this point, and then with the Drake flop all alongside it. Well, really, we are now seeing that both on the creative and listener side, people are wanting hip-hop that is more authentic than it has been in years. And really, as we are at a point where Drake is flopping and the biggest architect of all of the major rap songs of the last decade is talking about how there is a shift, and he is crediting GNX for a lot of it. But once again, for all the vultures out there and people who are trying to act like something great has not been happening in rap, I'm gonna ask, are you really gonna sit here and tell me this doesn't mean anything? And so now with all this said, let me know. What do you think about Drake's flop, which is worse than ever? And what do you think about Metro Boomin's comments, which are really showing that this shift in hip-hop is real? Because if he's thinking it, then it's going to translate to a lot of other people going forward. Now, I can't wait to hear what you have to say about all this. And now, if you made it to this point in the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It helps me out a ton. And now, if you want to see how right before this, well, things for Drake just got awful, as he just had one of the worst shows of his life, as people were throwing toilet paper at him and it got so out of control. Check out the suggested video.